Welcome to Texas Stadium in Irving for this afternoon's NFL game matching the Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Hi, everybody. I'm Frank Lieber, along with Alex Hawkins. Cowboys heavy favorites, but you never know.
Oh, it's about time for Tampa to jump up with somebody, and I'll tell you what, the good defensive team, they are as good as anybody. They can play.
We're ready to play some football right now. Tampa has won the toss of the coin, and, of course, the Buccaneers have elected to receive. So that means the Cowboys will be kicking off, and their man is Efrain Herrera, one of the premier placement kickers in the game. Cowboys in white, Tampa Bay in the orange jerseys. Temperatures have cooled down considerably from the 100 degrees or so that they had last week against the New York Giants. And just in time, a cold front came in overnight, and the game time temperature is right around 80 degrees, which is going to make it a lot more comfortable. Herrera ready to go. Anthony Davis is deep, along with Isaac Higgins. As we await the opening whistle, the referee is Bernie Ehrman, the umpire Tony Kramer, the headlinesman Tony Bateri, the line judge Jack Steffen, the back judge Ben Tompkins, and the field judge is Pat Mellett. There's the whistle, and here comes Herrera, and we're underway at Texas Stadium in Irving. Isaac Higgins at the 12-yard line, crosses the 20, 25, and he is zapped at the 27-yard line. Mike Hageman, number 58, off the Cowboys specialty team, making the tackle with an assist from Guy Brown. So it is 1st and 10 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at their 27-yard line. Here's the Tampa Bay offensive line, and they've had some problems this year. Mixture of some veterans and some youngsters. The wide receivers and the tight end will be Bob Moore. Jack Novak, the regular tight end, is out of this game with an injury, and there's the way they'll line up. First time ever, Anthony Davis and Ricky Bell in the same backfield starting a ball game. Morris Owens is the man in motion, and Huff starts to throw it right off the bat and finds Owens for 5 yards out to the 32-yard line. Run out of bounds by Benny Barnes of the Cowboys. It'll be 2nd down 5. Cowboy defense, and this front four has been something else. They've already recorded 9 quarterback sacks on the year so far, so they can be fierce. The Cowboy linebackers, and that's quite a change from last year. D.D. Lewis is the only returnee. Leroy Jordan, of course, is retired. And the Cowboy deep backs, his 2 safeties, as good as any in the game. Charlie Waters and Cliff Harris. 2nd down 5 for the Buccaneers at their 32-yard line. Gary Huff, the ex-Chicago Bear, coming back after a knee injury. Handing off and dropped behind the line of scrimmage is Anthony Davis. It was Jethro Pugh who broke through to make the tackle for a loss of close to 5 yards in the play, so it'll be 3rd down. Now let's see where they mark it. They're going to spot it at the 30-yard line. It'll be 3rd down 7 for the Buccaneers at their 30-yard line.
You know, Frank, it's almost a shame Tampa has come up with an 0-2 record, because they could have easily won both of their opening games. So last week in Minnesota, they played them right down to the wire. Excellent defense, but they haven't had any trouble at all. It'd be interesting to see if Gary Huff can do something to that offense.
Passing situation for Huff on 3rd down 7. Gary is 1 for 1 in the afternoon so far. Split backfield. And Huff under pressure gets the pass away, tipped up and away by Charlie Waters. The intended receiver was Ricky Bell. And so the Buccaneers will be forced to punt. Crowd close to 60,000 in attendance as Huff leaves the field. Gary injured his knee in a preseason game against Atlanta, and in that game he threw 3 touchdown passes. And of course the Bucs have been having to go with the rookie Randy Hedberg until he got well. Dave Green is the punter, and the deep man is Butch Johnson, who ranks in the top 10 in the NFC, both in punt returns as well as kickoff returns. Cowboys with 10 men on the line of scrimmage, but they're playing return all the way. Johnson pulls this one down at his 28, 30, 35. Johnson 40, 45, and dropped at the 48-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Cowboys as they come up with excellent field position. That set the Dallas offense for you. Pat Donovan filling in for the injured Rayfield Wright. At right tackle, he's expected to be back in a couple of weeks. Cowboy receivers, the All-Pro Drew Pearson heading that cast, and the Cowboy backfield. Tony Dorsett does not start. Pearson is the starting tailback with Robert Newhouse, but Dorsett sees a lot of action. In fact, he's averaged some 6.5 yards per carry. Here's Staubach pitching to Pearson to the 50-yard line for a pickup of 3. It'll be 2nd down 7. Richard Wood, number 54, leading the defensive charge that time for the orange-clad Buccaneers. Let's take a look at the Bucs defense. They play that three-man front, Alex.
And they play it well, too. Talking to the Dallas people right before the ball game, Frank, they weren't kidding when they said it's as good a defense as you're going to face in football.
The four linebackers, Paul Harris is replacing Dave Lewis, who is out with an injury, and the D-backs. 2nd down 7. Cowboys with the ball at midfield. Straight handoff to Newhouse, close to the 45-yard line. He'll be some 3 yards shy of a first down. So call it 3rd and 3 for the Cowboys at the Tampa Bay 46. First meeting ever between these two clubs. And this is part of Tampa Bay's Murderers Row schedule. They got Minnesota last week. They get Washington next Sunday at home. Pretty tough for an expansion club looking for its first victory. 3rd down 3 for Dallas. No score. 12 minutes, 45 seconds left to play in the opening period. Golden Richards left side. Drew Pearson wide to the right. Running from the split backfield. Nice fake to Pearson. Here's Staubach. He will be close for the first down. Maybe close enough. We'll need a measurement at the 43-yard line. As he was hit hard by Cecil Johnson, number 56, and Leroy Selman, number 63. Johnson played his college football at Pitt. He was a free agent. And teammate, of course, of Tony Dorsett's, and has been very impressive. We saw him a couple of weeks ago in Philadelphia. I'll bring the chains in from the far side here to measure. That was a 3rd down play with the Cowboys at the 43 of Tampa Bay. Let's see what happens. That's close, but it looks like the Buccaneers have held him, and let's see if they'll go for it. He's got less than a foot. Fans, of course, want him to go for it, but the punting unit is coming on.
You didn't think Landry was going to gamble?
Well, you never know. The fans always want to go for it. You know that, Hawk.
Isn't that the truth? But they're the first ones that boo when you don't make it.
Absolutely. There's the statistics on Danny White so far. He's an excellent punter, particularly coffin corner kicker. Danny Reese will be deep, along with Isaac Higgins for the Buccaneers. Reese on the left of your screen and Higgins on the right.
Danny averaging, what, about 40 yards a punt? I'll tell you, he's going to be something. I've seen him play in the World Football League as a quarterback.
The late World Football League?
The late World Football League. He's an athlete, a heck of a quarterback as well.
Buccaneers playing return all the way. He's angling for the coffin corner on the far side. Higgins had a little trouble handling it. Hope brought it down inside the 10-yard line. And Benny Barnes, number 31, was there to greet him. So the Buccaneers come up with poor field position. 1st and 10 at their own 9-yard line. There is no score. We'll be back in a moment. Frank Lieber along with Alex Hawkins. Texas Stadium, the site of this afternoon's game between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Dallas Cowboys. The Bucs have the football, and they have a first down at their 9-yard line. No score here in the early going. Fine putt by Danny White. That's Ricky Bell. Across the 10-yard line out to about the 12. Randy White, number 54, stacked him up, along with Jethro Pugh, number 75. Bell is ranked in the top 10 in rushers in the NFC after a couple of weeks. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League. It's intended for the private use of our audience, and any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Dallas Cowboys and the National Football League is prohibited. 2nd down 8. Bucks out close to the 12-yard line. Quick pitch to Davis. Flag down. Davis at the 15-yard line and run down by middle linebacker Bob Brunig, number 53, at the 16. Let's see what the penalty is. Preliminary indication we get is illegal motion against the Buccaneers. That Dallas defense has had quite a few changes in it, yet, Hawk, they don't seem to lose any efficiency at all.
No, sir. It's just a great organization. They've done well in the drafting throughout the years. They've just done so well in the drafting that when somebody steps out, they've always got somebody to move right in there, and they don't lose any effectiveness whatsoever.
Bernie Ehrman walking off 5. And let's see who the culprit was.
Illegal motion. The man in motion, number 32.
Well, he was very specific about it, wasn't he? Ricky Bell. He said 32, but that's Lewis Carter, and I don't believe Carter's in there. So the Buccaneers are now backed up to their 8-yard line. They have a 2nd down 12. From that point, straight handoff. And Bell out to about the 9, perhaps. A yard, maybe 2. Again, Bruning in the middle of that, along with Randy White and Jethro Pugh. Ricky Bell, all everything at SC. Had a bit of an ankle problem last year. In fact, he's got a bone chip, I understand, in his ankle, but he's still playing.
I love his attitude. Everything he's done indicates that he has a proper attitude to be a great professional football player. Moving him to fullback, he'd just as soon block as he would carry the ball, and he and Anthony Davis could make quite a tandem back there.
On paper, that is a dynamite combination, you have to admit. Third down, a little more than 10 needed for the first down. Buccaneers from their 9, they give it to Bell, and he broke past the line of scrimmage that time, but was nailed at the 12. Harvey Martin and Cliff Harris coming up to make the stop, and the Bucs will be punting from the goal line.
Well, David Green has been kicking the ball well, averaging over 43 yards per punt, but he's had enough opportunities. Great day. He had 11 in the first game with Philadelphia. You can wear out your knee in a hurry doing that.
That tells you one thing, that your offense isn't moving the ball much.
You got it.
All right, here's Green, standing back a couple of yards deep in the end zone. We got a whistle here and an official's timeout as they bring in a new ball. The inactive players today, the 2 players declared inactive by each side, Rayfield Wright and Glenn Carano by the Cowboys, and Jack Novak and Jeff Winans, who is normally a starting guard for Tampa Bay. Steve Wilson is filling in for him. Green gets it away in good order. Butch Johnson at his 45 to his 50. 45, cutting back inside, and he has reached the Tampa Bay 40. Oh, he is one slippery guy. CBS Sports. That's next Saturday on the CBS Sports Spectacular. Cowboys with excellent field position, a first down at the Tampa Bay 40 as they start this drive. That's Golden Richards in motion. Staubach hasn't thrown yet. Goes across the grain to Pearson at the 35, 30, 25, 20, and Pearson is down to the 18-yard line. A 22-yard pickup. Boy, I loved his comment a couple of weeks ago. He said, I'm like Rodney Dangerfield. I just don't get no respect.
Well, brother, he should get respect. That Preston Pearson is playing the best football of his life. I played with him years ago in Baltimore and went on to Pittsburgh after that. Well, you know his whole story. Watch Roger back there. What are the merits of that quarterback that can move? Look at the move right here. That's something out of Illinois where he was a basketball player. Preston Pearson. I'll tell you, he's going to be hard to move out of that slot.
Officials mark it at the Tampa Bay 19. It is 1st and 10 for the Dallas Cowboys. Staubach's got him in a split backfield. Hands off to Pearson. And Pearson to the 17-yard line for a pickup of 2. Dewey Selman, number 61 on the stop. Boy, I'll bet you Dewey and Leroy sold a few tickets for this ball game today. You know, they live in Eufaula, Oklahoma, which is right up the road here, just an expressway drive away from Texas Stadium.
Dewey has been quite a surprise for Tampa, though. They played him, of course, as down lineman last year, moved him to linebacker, and he just adapted to that position like he invented it.
That's what Preston has done. 2nd down, 8. Cowboys at the 17-yard line of the Buccaneers. Robert Newhouse inside the 15, and he is smacked hard. Leroy Selman, number 63, leaving his mark found along with Dave Pear, number 76. It'll be 3rd down for the Cowboys, and they will need just under 6 yards with a first down at the 15 of Tampa.
You mentioned Dave Pear. He is an excellent head-up man to play on that center. That's why that 3-man line works so well for Tampa. Not taking a thing away from Leroy, of course.
3rd down, 6. No score. Still in the first period. Preston Pearson in motion. Here's Staubach. Big rush by Selman. Overthrown, intended for Billy Joe Dupree, the tight end. And overthrown in the end zone. So the field goal unit comes on for the Dallas Cowboys. Staubach leads the NFC with a 61% completion rate. Ironically, 4 passers in the AFC have better completion rates than that right now. I don't know what that tells you, except the quarterbacking's so far been a lot better in the American Conference. Herrera will attempt a 32-yard field goal. Efren Herrera. Waters is the holder. It's up. It's good. So Dallas is first on the scoreboard this afternoon with 8 minutes and 4 seconds remaining in the first period of play. It's the Cowboys 3 and the Buccaneers nothing. Herrera will be kicking off for the Cowboys with 8 minutes and 4 seconds remaining in the first period of play here at Texas Stadium. Cowboys, the only undefeated team left in the NFC. Tony Davis is deep back there along with Isaac Higgins. They like Higgins. He's a number 3 wide receiver, but an excellent kick return guy.
Don't give him any daylight, but
No.
he can move.
This will come down to Higgins at the 7. Back to the 15, 20. Nice cut back inside. He reaches the 27, maybe the 28-yard line. Aaron Kyle, number 25 for the Cowboys, in the bottom of that pile. With an assist that time from Jay Saldy, number 87, is the captain of the Dallas specialty teams. Cowboys next 2 weeks get St. Louis and Washington. So that's kind of an early showdown situation. There's Tom Landry, the only head coach the Dallas Cowboys have ever had. Gary Huff, quarterbacking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Got Owens to the right side and McKay to the left. Sends Davis in motion and pitches to Bell. Bell really popped at the 30-yard line, and the penalty marker went down at the same time. He was really wrapped hard by Thomas Henderson, number 56. And Bell is coming off the field.
We'll take a look at Ricky Bell right there. Ricky just doesn't have any daylight there. There's absolutely nowhere he can go, but you notice he's headed it upfield. He's got the right idea. He doesn't mind sticking it in there.
Jim Dubose has come in replacing him, and Bell went off holding, looked like his left hand.
Gary Huff, drafted back. I guess this is his first start in pro football as a quarterback since 1975 when he was with the Bears.
Been a while. He was the second quarterback picked in the 1973 draft ahead of a couple of NFL starters, Joe Ferguson and Ron Jaworski. Let's get the penalty here.
Holding, number 28, offense.
So the holding goes against Anthony Davis, the lead back on the play. And the 10-yard walk-off moves the Bucs back to the 19-yard line, where it is now first down and 20.
40, red 99, 59,
Huff rolling to his right. Look out. Jethro Pugh's after him, so is Randy White. The pass is completed to Owens. Owens at the 40-yard line, out to the 44. And credit Huff with a great job of scrambling. He had guys breathing down his neck.
He surely did that. Nowhere to go. Jethro Pugh wouldn't allow him to roll any further that way. Good pass protection. That Tampa offensive line gave him plenty of time there. And look here. Jethro's not going to let him get outside. He puts it in there. Morris Owens he's got plenty of speed if he gets a step there. Not much room to go. Last year's leading receiver, I guess that's his 5th catch of the year.
Benny Barnes making the stop, and Tampa Bay with a first down at their 44-yard line. Dallas leading 3-0 as the sun breaks through the clouds here.
83.
Straight handoff goes to Dubose, and he really looked sharp as he broke across the middle, across the 50-yard line down to the 42, or rather the 48-yard line. Here's Ricky Bell having the left wrist attended to.
Don't want anything happen to an athlete like that. What a great future he's got down there.
Now the Buccaneers now going with Lewis Carter and Dubose, and alternating Anthony Davis in and out of there. Davis is in there right now. And carries to the 46-yard line. He's been troublesome with the injuries, hamstring, shoulder injury, but one of the strange things happened to him last week. We got the report. Now let's see, we got an injured player for the Buccaneers. Time is called. The Bucs are going to have a second down. And looks like just inches needed for the first down.
Injuries are nothing new to the Tampa team. Last year, I think they had 17 players on injured reserve. What would their payroll be?
Oh, isn't that something? 17 players. Of course, they're
I think
liable for
9
their salaries.
starters. 9 starters were hurt for them last year. They had a better team than the record to indicate. Of course, since they didn't win any games, the record wouldn't indicate anything but that.
I think it's the tight end, Moore, who was shaken up. Dana Nafziger has come into the huddle. Timeout here called by the Bucs. We'll be back in Irving in just a moment. Bob Moore, number 86, the tight end of the Buccaneers, is the injured player. He is actually a co-starter with Jack Novak, who is out with an injury, so they've got to rely now on a special teams guy, Dana Nafziger.
He's just a rookie, and you can't lose 2 veterans like that, particularly when they use those 2 alternating to call in the plays, running the plays for Tampa.
Third down as we head back to play, less than a yard for the first down for the Buccaneers at the Dallas 46-yard line. And Huff tries to do it himself, and I think he's got it at the 45. First down for the Buccaneers. 5 minutes, 55 seconds left to play in the opening period. What do we have in store for you next week? On CBS, another NFL doubleheader. Philadelphia and the Giants, Detroit at Minnesota. Those are some of the regional games that you'll be watching, depending on what part of the country you're in. Cowboys will be at St. Louis. That's one of the doubleheader games. Atlanta at San Francisco, and Washington will be at Tampa Bay, all on CBS next Sunday afternoon. 1st and 10, Buccaneers at the Dallas 45. Gary Huff to Owens at the 40, 35, and down to the 34. That's another first down. Morris Owens teaming up with Gary Huff. We were talking with Billy Nelson, offensive coordinator for the Bucs, down on the field prior to the game, and asked him if they were going to score today. And he almost guaranteed us they're going to put some points on the board. Of course, he said it might be the defense with an interception, but we're going to get some points.
Oh, they haven't had any luck at all. Of course, you can't lose two quarterbacks like Burrell and Huff for that much time without taking its effect on a young team, particularly an expansion team like that.
1st and 10 for the Bucs at the Dallas 34-yard line. They've got a nice drive going. Started back at their 27. Flag down as the handoff goes to number 35, Jimmy Dubose.
Huge hole in that middle by that offensive line. Dan Ratchett there, the center. He's putting the block on Brunick and allows for it just enough. Give him room to maneuver there. He broke one tackle and almost ran over Cliff Harrison. That's a yeoman's job right there. It's not a bad offensive line. Not on paper anyhow. They've traded for some people. Jeff Lyons is not playing today. That'll hurt him some.
Here's the penalty.
Encroachment number 56. Defense decline. 2nd down, 2.
Thomas Henderson of the Cowboys called on the encroachment, but the gain was greater than the penalty would have netted them, so the Buccaneers will take that, and they'll wind up at the 26-yard line. We'll have some other scores for you here in just a moment. 2nd down, 2. Buccaneers at the Cowboy 26-yard line. Huff handing off to Dubose. Former Florida star crashes inside the 25 down to about the 23-yard line.
Jimmy was the number 2 draft choice for them there. They're high on all their backs. They think they've got about 5 or 6 runners that can play in the National Football League.
Buccaneers are sending in plays alternating the wide receivers. Isaac Hagan's right now and John McKay. So the Bucs moving the football right smartly. They're at the 23-yard line. That's a first down. Cowboy fans getting a little noisy now, trying to stir up their defense. Anthony Davis in motion to the left. It is Huff under pressure. Whoa, Henderson! He can fly at the 40. Henderson at the 50. He's going all the way, I believe. Thomas Henderson scores on an 80-yard interception return and spikes it between the goalposts.
Get out of town. Take a look at it again. Gary Huff. Can't find anybody open. Probably shouldn't have thrown the football, but there's a big play man. Tommy Henderson. Got speed to burn. Number 1 draft choice last year, surprisingly, out of a small school. I did a game here again 2 years ago when he was a rookie. Ran the opening kickoff back for a touchdown and did that same thing. Spiked it through. Head off for it, Tommy. Get it right on.
Well, that's a new style spike, we have to say. 79 yards on the interception return by Thomas Henderson. That is his 2nd NFL touchdown. He returned a kickoff for a touchdown a couple of years ago against the St. Louis Cardinals, and as Hawk said, did the same thing. Spiked it between the goalposts. Herrera with the extra point try. And Dallas suddenly leads 10-0 with 3 minutes and 50 seconds left to play in the opening period. Look at it again. There's our situation. There's the Giants-Atlanta situation. Atlanta leading in the 2nd period, 7-0.
Now, that was Monroe Ely on a 1-yard run for the Atlanta score, and they have been a surprisingly good team this year.
Played some good football. Beat the Rams, almost beat the Redskins. Anthony Davis circling under this one, takes it at the 12, 20, 25. And stopped near the 30-yard line of the far side. That's got to be a little heartbreaking for a young football team to move the ball as they did about 60 yards and then have it run back for 79 yards and a touchdown on them.
Been a series in Tampa like that. New England, they holding it together up there against the Jets, 17-14.
They got a 100-yard kickoff return out of rookie Raymond Claiborne in that New England-New York Jets game.
Well, you got to feel sorry for a Tampa team like that. They got buzzard's luck. They can't kill anything. They can't find anything dead. Just about time they get it started, something happens.
All right, 1st and 10 for the Buccaneers at their 31-yard line. Quick pitch, Dubose. By the way, we got a report on Ricky Bell. Ricky has a bruised shoulder and may return this afternoon. We thought it was a hand or a wrist or something, but it's his shoulder. Bob Moore has a bruised knee, and indications are he will not be back. There's Bell trying to work the soreness out of that shoulder on the bench right now. 2nd down. Bucks need 8 for the 1st down. Bears have scored on New Orleans in the 1st period. Chicago 7 and New Orleans nothing.
Walter Payton did the damage on that one. What a year he's having.
Oh, he's some back. I saw him last week, even though St. Louis had him pretty well covered. You could see the greatness there. Here's Anthony Davis. Look at this. Hanging on for dear life as he came through the line of scrimmage was Cliff Harris, the Cowboys all-pro safety man.
Anthony Davis, a lot of football player. He can do a lot of things for you. Operated in Canada in the World Football League before joining Tampa. You give him a little daylight, he can still do it. But he can do so many things for you. He's not that bad a blocker either.
That's a 1st down for the Buccaneers. Pittsburgh and Cleveland in a battle at halftime. They're tied at 14.
Cleveland has been a surprisingly good team, haven't they?
From their 42-yard line, Davis takes the handoff, gets a yard. Jethro Pugh is the first to hit him, number 75. Just a yard on the play.
When the game first started, you just got the feeling that the Cowboys might be looking ahead to St. Louis, that they were a little flat today. But the big play by Henderson, and he will come up with a big play for you.
That is his big bag. He is not as consistent a football player as Tom Landry would like. But Landry says he has that knack of coming up with big plays. Now they're going to take a closer look at Bell's shoulder, apparently. 2nd down, 9. Buccaneers at their 42-yard line.
Errol Carter.
You're talking about Anthony Davis. He had some other problems, but they said before the Minnesota game, he got up the night before the game and hit his head on the bathroom sink and was dizzy during the ball game. And I was going to say that you are one who could probably sympathize with that problem.
I've done that so many times.
The question is, was he standing or was he crawling?
I didn't bother. I didn't bother to get
First start, number 70, offense.
That call will go against Darryl Carlton, the offensive tackle of the Buccaneers. 5-yard penalty moves him back to the 38-yard line. It's now 2nd down, 14. Morris Owen split way wide out to the right side, and McKay off to the left. Gary Huff on the delay, slips it to Davis, loses the ball. Buccaneers recover, but it'll be a loss of some 7 yards back to the 30-yard line. They've got 3rd and 22 right now.
that left shoulder.
Ricky Bell, number 1 draft choice in the National Football League. Man who's worked hard this year, led this club in receiving and rushing in preseason. And he is going to be an anchor in the years that lie ahead. As Hawk said, he's got just an excellent attitude about playing football. At Atlanta, Giant game is at halftime. This is still a first period score. New Orleans has tied Chicago.
Archie Manning ran one in from 8 yards out for that New Orleans score.
Huff, big rush by Randy White. Charlie Waters, number 41, with the deflection. And again, the Buccaneers will have to punt. Here's a man that was named in the poll of players here in the last couple of weeks as the most underrated player in the NFL.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised, but when he was on the corner, he wasn't an underrated player. That wasn't his position. When they moved him to safety, he just moved in like he owned the position.
Absolutely.
He and Cliff Harris are two, as a pair, they're as good as any in the National Football League.
Dave Green in to do the punting. Little over a minute left to play in the opening period. Cowboys leading 10-0 over the luckless Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Tampa's had a weak area. It's in their coverage of punts. They've had a lot of punts run back against them. Although Green hits the ball pretty far, he doesn't hit it that high.
Beautiful punt. Johnson backs up to the 20, 25, 30. Wall is forming. 40, 50. Puts Johnson down to the 40. Still on his feet. Whoa! Finally goes down at the 33-yard line, and so do some penalty markers. Part of that will probably be called back, but what a return. He just wrestled off Dave Green at the 45. Look at it again and watch the wall form here.
And watch the wall form for the Dallas Cowboys. Excellent, and punt returns have been good all afternoon. You knew sooner or later they might be able to break one. Paul Harris coming over here number 52, and I believe he grabbed the face mask there. Take a look at it again.
Watch Green try to tackle him here. I'll show you that kickers can't tackle.
They're
sure.
at school, too. They're working on their legs, not their arms. Here's David Green coming in the picture just right here. No, he wanted to get on and ride. Paul Harris finally gets and holds on hard.
Harris saves the touchdown. The penalty is against Tampa Bay for face mask, and that moves it to the 28-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Cowboys at the Tampa Bay 28. 49 seconds left in the opening period. Staubach to Pearson. 20. Pearson down to the 17-yard line. Nifty little move there as he dipped back inside and picked up close to 10 yards in the play. Mark Cotney, number 33, makes the stop.
The kind of a misdirection play here. The flow going to the right. Look at Preston and the moves. He's got more than a water bug, brother. He is not only a fine football player, but one of the finest individuals. Can you imagine the pressure he had all year listening to the drafting of Tony Dorsett and how that he was going to be run off from his job, but not so?
Well, that's a sign of a great competitor. He certainly rose to the occasion, and he beat out Dorsett clean. 1st and 10 at the 17. Newhouse, 15, 10. Newhouse, 5. Touchdown. Newhouse using his left arm as kind of a windmill there to balance himself to keep from going out of bounds.
Bobby Newhouse, watch how he follows the lead block of Preston Pearson, number 26, and he stays outside there. Nice block there by Ralph Neely also. Tips it up just barely staying in bounds there. Oh, the roof's starting to cave in early for Tampa. They got to get something going.
16-0. Cowboys leading with the extra point to come. There are 5 seconds left on the clock in the opening period of play. Good. Herrera, 2 for 2 in the extra point department, plus 1 field goal. And we'll have time for the kickoff, and that will be it as far as the first period is concerned. Dallas zooming out to a 17-0 lead. And this Dallas club, of course, is so deep that when they decide to bring on the scrubs, all they have to put in is Tony Dorsett.
Well, so you got to feel like the Tampa, though, the defense has been as good as it has through preseason and the opening 2 games of this year. You'd think probably they wouldn't fold like that, but you got to know it's going to take its toll because the offense coming in, starting to drive, and then have to turn the ball back over to them again. It's going to hurt them emotionally more than anything else.
Hagen's deep along with Anthony Davis. Herrera to kick off. 5 seconds left in the quarter. High and short. Hagens at the 10, 20, 25. Looking for running room to the 30. He can move. 40. Hagens caught by Benny Barnes at midfield. Excellent kickoff return of 40 yards as the gun sounds, ending the first period of play. So that's it. First period here at Texas Stadium in Irving. Cowboys leading Tampa Bay 17-0. We'll be back in a moment. Anthony Davis having a word with his head coach John McKay on the sidelines. Buccaneers 1st and 10 after that fine kickoff return by Hagens there at midfield. Just a simple straight handoff there. You get the impression, as Lewis Carter took the handoff, that on that last drive they were moving the ball so well, Hawk, that had they not had the interception, they'd have moved right in and scored.
And could have been an altogether different ball game.
And
Something like that.
You look back on it, and that interception could be the turning point. 2nd down. Buccaneers need 8 for the first down. Ball is at the 47-yard line of Dallas. That's Danny White warming up on the sidelines. I don't know why he'd be warming up this early. As Staubach's having some problems with that hamstring. Huff going long. He's got a man out there if he can reach it, but it's overthrown. Pass intended far in the end zone for number 89. That's McKay, and back there with him was Barnes. Minnesota leading the Packers in the second period by a score of 13-7.
Fran Tarkenton has thrown for 1 touchdown pass in that game, and Chuck Foreman's run one in from 3 yards.
Our score, the Cowboys 17 and the Buccaneers nothing. Tampa Bay 3rd down and 8 from the Dallas 47-yard line. Bill Gregory has come into the Dallas defensive line. Replacing Larry Cole has replaced Pugh. Huff under pressure.
Hey.
Pretty good hit there by number 42, Randy Hughes, as the intended receiver was Higgins at the 45-yard line.
He held on to it.
He did hang on to it, but
Yes,
still
sir.
not enough for the first down. I thought he jarred him loose a bit, but Higgins managed to hang on. It'll be 4th down, and still almost 5 yards needed for the first down for the Buccaneers at the Dallas 43-yard line. Early in the second period, Dave Green to do the punting.
Get down.
Angling for the coffin corner. Johnson signaling for the fair catch, but it bounces on into the end zone for the touchback. So the Cowboys will take the ball at their own 20-yard line. Timeout on the field here with 13 minutes and 25 seconds left to play in the first half. And right now, Dallas has things well under control, leading 17-0. All right, the Cowboy cheerleaders going through their number.
Having a little something to cheer about today, too.
Oh,
It
yeah.
looks so academic.
17 points here in the early going for Dallas. 1st and 10 for the Cowboys at their 20-yard line. After Green's punt into the end zone, Robert Newhouse. Out to the 26, pickup of 6 yards in the play. Dewey Selman making the stop. Dewey was moved out of the defensive line to a linebacker position and has performed very creditably. He was the 59th player picked in the draft last year, a second-round choice. Baltimore, the Colts leading Buffalo. That is a second period score. 7-0. 2nd down, 4. Dallas at its 26-yard line. Again, Newhouse, this time shoved back to the 25. Leroy Selman, 63. Dave Pear, number 76, on the stop. Tampa Bay is the only NFL club which has not yet scored a touchdown this year. Their total offensive output, a couple of field goals, one in each game.
Frightening thing about that, they're only averaging 30 yards a game passing, and that is just unbelievably low. Less than 100 yards rushing per game. They just haven't had it going at all.
3rd down, Cowboys need 3 for the first down. From their 27-yard line, Staubach to throw it. And he's had to throw very sparingly. Big rush, and almost threw that away. Let's see, is it ruled an interception or not? Yes, they did rule it an interception. Thought for a moment he might have trapped it, but he did pull it down.
And what's responsible for that is the pressure by Leroy Selman. He came on strong. You see him at the top left-hand corner of your screen, working on Ralph Neely. Beats him inside. Burton Lawless trying to pick him up, but no, sir. Leroy Selman, a good inside rush that time.
Well, now let's see what happened here. I think another official saw it from a different angle, and they did rule it a trap because, no, let's see. Cowboy defense coming on. For a minute there, we had 2 defensive units out there.
Well, they did rule it. He did not catch it. I guess they're just going to punt.
That's right. It's going to be ruled a trap. So that sets up 4th down. So the Dallas punting unit is on now. Danny White. Nice kick. Isaac Higgins fields that one and goes out of bounds at the same time at the 27-yard line. So the Buccaneers will take over just inside their 30-yard line, trailing by a score of 17-0 with 11 minutes and 58 seconds left to play in the first half. Here's an update for you on the Patriots and the Jets. Jets giving them quite a battle. New England has recaptured the lead.
New England's having to do it on the toe of John Smith. 2 field goals for those last 2 scores.
1st and 10 for the Buccaneers at their 28-yard line as they try to get that offense on track once again. Dubose tripped up at the line of scrimmage. Nothing for him. At there, as he crossed the line, he was hit by, looked like middle linebacker Bob Brunig. Came knifing through to take his feet out from under him. Give him a yard on the play. 2nd down, 9. Buck shuttling in a couple of players, just about every play, a wide receiver and also a running back. Their plan's been upset a little bit with Ricky Bell out of the game with that bruised shoulder, missing a good portion of the first period. Second down 9 from the 29. Dubose in motion. Pitch to Davis. Davis trying to get outside. The Cowboys wouldn't let him. Cliff Harris, number 43, stopping him. No gain on that play. It'll be third down 9 for Dallas from the 29-yard line. Quite a battle up in Cleveland before better than 80,000, and the Steelers have regained the lead 21-14.
Terry Bradshaw just connected to Lynn Swan for a 14-yard scoring pass. That's his second touchdown pass of the game. Excuse me, that's his third. 2 to Swan and one to Frank Lewis. Yeah.
Third down for the Buccaneers. They need 9 for the first down. Gary Huff calls the signals for Tampa Bay. Davis to the 33-yard line, short of the first down.
What do you do when you're in Tampa's position? They work all week long developing a game plan, knowing what they can do best against Dallas and how to work it, and then you find yourself behind in the first period, 17-0. You got to scrap it and start all over.
Well, you work all week with Davis and Bell in the same backfield, and Bell goes out in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Green in to do the punting. He ranks 5th among the 28 punters in the NFL. Butch Johnson is deep, and Johnson's had an excellent day returning kicks, and he'll return this one at the 30-yard line. Johnson to the 35 and stopped at the 36. Started to go outside, changed his mind, and he should have gone. Forcing it very nicely was Dan Ryzik, the center, who was down there very quickly. So Dallas takes over at their 35-yard line, and Tony Dorsett has come into the ball game for the first time this afternoon for the Dallas Cowboys, replacing Preston Pearson at running back. Once again, the regional doubleheader next week on CBS. These are the games that you'll be watching, depending on what part of the country you happen to be in. These are a couple of the games. We'll give you a rundown of the rest of them in just a moment. Handoff, Dorsett. Good block from Lawless. Dorsett hit at the 40, fumbles, picked up by Tampa Bay, and racing down the sidelines is Richard Wood. And Wood goes into the end zone. No flag. And he spikes it between the posts. Too. I did not see a flag. Or did I? I'll bring it back. Let's see. Let's look at it again.
Roger Staubach makes the handoff, as he said, blocked by Lawless there. Moving outside. Now watch Jarris White there. Puts the hammer on him good. Richard Wood picking it up and starting down. I couldn't tell.
Touchdown Will Hold. There was a clipping call against Dallas, and that is declined by Tampa Bay. So the Buccaneers have their first touchdown of the season as Richard Wood, a la Thomas Henderson, spikes it between the goalposts. So Dorsett fumbles on his first carry from scrimmage, and Wood picks it up and runs it in for the score.
I can't explain these late decisions on officials. They can't make up their mind what they're going to call the thing.
It's been one of those games. So it's a 17-6 game with the extra point try from Alan Levitt to come. Levitt has been with the Bucs just a couple of weeks. Came over from Atlanta where they had 2 good place kickers.
Had 2 good place kickers. He was the number 4 draft choice. They hated to give him up, but Tampa outweighted him. They tried to trade him for 3 or 4 weeks. Tampa having first rights to anybody put on waivers. They just waited him out.
Levitt with the extra point is good, and so the Buccaneers have their first touchdown of the 1977 season. It is worth another look.
Watch it again. Tony Dorsett. He's learning to follow his blocking pretty good. Jarris White putting a good hit on there. Wood with the football. Look at the block with number 56 there. Cecil Johnson leveling it all. Now let's see the spike. 2 points. There we go.
So Tampa Bay has come back to score a touchdown and make things a little more interesting here in the second period, which is 9 minutes and 43 seconds left to play. We started to tell you about some of the games coming up next week on the NFL regional doubleheader. Philadelphia and the Giants, Detroit and Minnesota. Those are some of the early games, and these are some of the late games. Dallas, St. Louis, Atlanta, San Francisco, and Washington, Tampa Bay. Depending on where you happen to be, you'll be seeing both ends of the CBS regional doubleheader.
Well, so you got to know that the Tampa people happily finally get a touchdown on the board, even if the defense did have to make it for them.
Bill Nelson was right, wasn't he?
Yes, sir. We'll get on there somehow.
Well, a thing like that has a tendency at times to fire up the offense. It'll be interesting to see what Tampa Bay does next time they get the football. Levitt with the kickoff, coming short to Butch Johnson at the 10, 20. Johnson at the 25. He is the leading kickoff returner in the National Football Conference and is wrestled down at the 28-yard line. Mike Lemon in on the stop for the Buccaneers. 1st and 10, Dallas with the nose of the ball just short of the 30-yard line.
And being the smart quarterback Roger Staubach is, you know he's going to try to get a concentrated drive. He'll try extra hard before he gives any more impetus to that Tampa team.
He's only thrown 2 passes thus far in the ball game, 1 out of 2. But the reason for that is the Cowboys been running the ball well. Dorsett and Newhouse, the running backs, they come back with Dorsett. That's the same play that he fumbled on a moment ago, and this time he carries to the 34-yard line.
Tom Landry saying we're going to do it until we get it right.
That's right. Pick up a 4 on the play. It'll be 2nd down 6 for the Cowboys at their 34-yard line. Dorsett averaging 6.5 yards per carry, broke for his first 2 NFL touchdowns against the Giants last week.
Boy, he could be an added addition to this Dallas team because they've never had in the history of the franchise, they've never had a running back with as much ability as he's got to go outside and make the big play for you.
He has that super quickness. In fact, Cowboy scouts say he just broke the scale on quickness. Here's Staubach, 1 out of 2, rushed, flushed out of the pocket, still looking, gonna have to eat it. And down he goes at the 31-yard line.
Everybody covered downfield that time. Tampa secondary doing an excellent job staying with him in.
Again, Leroy Selman, number 63, was there. So was Dave Pear, number 76. And Council Rudolph, number 78. Good charge. That time by the front 3 of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 3rd down, 7. Dallas at its 32-yard line. Eagles, who trail most of that ball game, now leading the Lions in the 3rd period. From the shotgun. Jay Salty, the tight end in motion, comes back to help the blocking. Staubach over the middle for Billy Joe Dupree. That's a 1st down at the 48-yard line as Dupree cradled it just inches above the ground. Cowboys had 2 tight ends in there that time, Salty and Dupree.
Look at the coverage here. Look at the protection Roger got there. And Billy Joe Dupree just finds the open areas. He's about as good a tight end as there is in football, in addition to being an excellent receiver and a smart receiver. You saw that little tiny seam being broken down right there. He's a heck of a blocker for the running game.
Dupree needs just 10 more pass receptions to pass Pettis Norman and become the top-ranking tight end in Dallas Cowboy history. Of course, when they had Pettis, they didn't throw that much to the tight end either. 1st and 10, Cowboys at their 48-yard line. On the delay, Dorsett, 50, down to the 45-yard line. Pickup of 7. It'll be 2nd down 3 for the Cowboys at the Tampa Bay 45.
Look at the smooth gliding motion, almost effortless running style. Tony Dorsett. Ricky Bell on a similar movement, but he just hasn't had the daylight Dorsett's had. He will have in the years to come.
2nd and 3 with the nose of the ball just outside the 45-yard line of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Atlanta shutting out the Giants in the 3rd quarter, 10-0. Be 2 out of 3 for the young Falcons. Newhouse and Dorsett behind Staubach in the I formation. Dorsett taking the pitch, cutting back to the 40, down to the 37. That's a 1st down. This Dallas drive started at the 30-yard line, the first sign really of a concentrated drive they've had.
Look at the precision blocking here on that left side. Neely and Lawless out in front there. Dorsett, just a little crack in the acceleration there. Oh, that's a good football team. Dallas with a relatively young offensive line, but they've really come together this year, haven't they?
CBS Sports Spectacular, Saturday afternoon at 4:30. Don't forget all those great events for you. The Grand Prix, the Karate Championship, and the World's Strongest Men competition. Newhouse taking the pitch this time from Staubach. Doesn't quite have the speed of Tony D turning that corner, but he gets the job done in his own way. Picked up a couple down to the 35, inside the 35 to almost the 34-yard line.
Newhouse kind of been, in a way, in many ways, been a disappointment to the Dallas team. What was he, the number 2 draft choice several years ago?
Correct.
Had a big year in '75 where he gained a little over 900 yards, but basically he's had injuries and things like that. I maintain he's an unlucky ball carrier, too. You've seen pitchers that can pitch 3 hitters and lose 1-0 and all that throughout their entire career. He really doesn't get the blocking.
His best year was the year the Cowboys went to the Super Bowl, played against the Steelers. Staubach with a nice fake to Dorsett, looking long over the middle, and Drew Pearson makes the catch at the 20-yard line. First down. There's the man who is an all-pro wide receiver. They call him the dance master because he's got such great moves.
On the offense, brother, he'll make the big play for you, as he's done for several years here, about 6 years for the Cowboys. Roger Staubach, plenty of time, not pressured at all. Roger's got great vision down in that field. Throw that ball low a lot of times, like the pass Dupree called a little earlier. He keeps it low and inside.
Cedric Brown making the stop, but the Cowboys have another first down just inside the Tampa Bay 20-yard line. Staubach calls the signal, sends Pearson in motion across the backfield. Roger hands to Dorsett, 15, 10, and down to the 8-yard line goes Tony Dorsett. 11, perhaps 12 yards of the play. Another first down for the Cowboys. Dorsett lost his helmet in the process.
The acceleration, he smelled the goal line that time. He wanted it bad. Brother, he can take off. A world of ability. Slow starting in training camp, bothered by some injuries, I guess, but he's starting to come on the last couple of weeks.
He missed about 3 weeks because of that leg injury. He had a strained knee in camp. Herb Scott of the Cowboys, one of their starting guards, is out of the game with a hamstring pull, and Burton Lawless has been in there, number 66, as you may have noticed. First and goal to go from the 9-yard line for Dallas. Newhouse fighting his way down to the 7, to the 6, to the 5, crawling to the 4. Not a second effort on that one. Mark it at the 5. Newhouse has averaged just 2.8 per carry in the first 2 games of this season. That's awfully low for him. Staubach to Dorsett. And Tony carries to the 2. Pickup of 3. It'll be third down. Goal from the 2-yard line. Dallas trying to cap off what would be a 70-yard touchdown drive if they score here. Jay Saldi, number 87, comes in as a second tight end. And for the Buccaneers, Bill Collar, number 77.
Is it Saldi or Saldi?
Well, we've been calling him Saldi. In fact, he stopped me in the elevator the other day and said, "My name is Saldi. My dad would like it called Saldi." I said, "Whatever Papa wants, that's just fine." So it's Saldi. Third down, goal to go. Fake to Dorsett. Staubach waiting, throws it over the middle, intended for Butch Johnson. And knocked down at the goal line. And Staubach took a pretty good shot that time from Collar, who just came into the game. So that will set up fourth down. Let's see if Dallas will settle for the field goal here. And that will be the case. So the Buccaneers have held him. And the Cowboys field goal unit, headed by Efren Herrera, will check into the game.
I know as far as Roger Staubach is concerned, much was accomplished, though. They ate up a lot of the clock. They moved the ball well and cut off any momentum that Tampa might have got from that touchdown they just received.
2:49 left to play in the first half. Charlie Waters puts it down, and Herrera's second field goal of the effort of the afternoon is good. All right, one of the happy Cowboy cheerleaders. They look just as pretty from the back as they do from the front.
And take your pick.
Yes, sir.
You can go right on down to 26 of them.
Herrera ready to kick off. Higgins is deep once again, along with Anthony Davis. And this one coming down to Higgins' side at the 5. Back to the 15, 20, 25. Higgins showing some good moves. Stopped just short of the 30-yard line. Aaron Kyle, number 25, and Guy Brown making the stop. On to that. All in the CBS Sports Spectacular next Saturday afternoon, 4:30 Eastern Time. Up. Straight off that handoff that time to Lewis Carter, who carries out to the 34-yard line. Carter was one of the more dependable ball carriers for the Buccaneers last season. He's been somewhat out of the spotlight with the emergence of Ricky Bell and Anthony Davis in the roster.
You know, earlier in the ball game, Tampa's offensive line moved off the ball well and opened some nice holes there.
They did indeed. Second down 6 upcoming as they move to the line of scrimmage at their 34-yard line. 2 minutes, 5 seconds left to play in the first half. We may get this one off before the 2-minute warning, and then we may not. I guess we won't. There's the whistle, and the 2-minute warning now will go to both benches. So timeout on the field with the Cowboys leading the Buccaneers. The score 20-7. 2-minute warning has gone to both benches. During that timeout, Ricky Bell strolling off the field toward the locker room with that towel over his injured left shoulder.
We haven't received any reports on how serious it is, but I doubt that we'd see him in the second half.
Doesn't look like it, does it? 2nd and 6 for the Buccaneers, and that one was almost picked off by Charlie Waters, intended for Owens on the far sidelines. It'll be 3rd down 6. Been a tough afternoon for the Bucs. That's Bob Moore, the tight end who was injured early. So they're down to their 3rd tight end, rookie Dana Nafziger.
That's probably as important a position as you have on your offense, too. You get a good tight end and help your running game and open up your passing game. It's a valuable man to lose.
I'll go with, looks like 3 wide receivers here. Got Ed Williams in the ballgame. First time we've seen him this afternoon. Team with Davis in the backfield. And the handoff is to Davis, and he is creamed at the line of scrimmage and shoved back. Wasn't like this at Southern Cal.
No, sir. Of course, he weren't playing the Dallas Cowboys then either.
That's true. So a loss of a couple of yards on that play will set up 4th and 8 for the Buccaneers at their 32-yard line. Clock moving, as you can see, with a minute and a half.
Will this be the 5th punt for Green?
I believe so. He's been averaging right about 40 yards. He's had a short punt of 36 and a long of 51. Big rush by the Cowboys. Butch Johnson trying to run this one down, but he won't get to it. And out of bounds it goes at the Dallas 33-yard line. So pretty good punt under the circumstances by Dave Green of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Dallas offense will take the field once again. First meeting ever between these two clubs. And of course next year, when the Bucs become permanent members of the NFC Central, they'll have home and home series with everybody in the Central. And of course they are permanently now in the National Football Conference. And this year they play everybody in the NFC one time. That's a tough schedule.
Yes, it is that.
Shotgun formation. Cowboys with their 2-minute offense. Low snap to Staubach, who is thrown sparingly to Preston Pearson, and Pearson is to the 39-yard line. A pickup of 6 yards in that play. It'll be 2nd down 4. Cowboys have their timeouts to use if they elect to use them. Got an official timeout here with 1 minute and 2 seconds.
You know, you've heard about your Bobby Lanes and your Sonny Jurgensen's and your Johnny Unitas is moving the ball with the 2-minute drill. I don't know if anybody does any better than Roger Staubach.
Big rush on Staubach out to the tight end Jay Saldi at the 40, 45.
Whoa.
Saldi really takes a hit. Cedric Brown, number 34, coming up from the secondary, really put the shoulder to the Cowboy tight end and knocked him out of bounds at the Dallas 48.
Right now we're going to vamp to 30.
49 seconds left to play in the first half. Dallas leading by a score of 20-7. So the Cowboys trying to get into position for one more score prior to halftime. Two tight ends out of the shotgun. They use one, Jay Saldi, to block, and that's the other one, Billy Joe Dupree, who makes the reception at the Tampa Bay 35-yard line for a first down, and now Dallas will call time with 42 seconds to go.
Once again, Roger Staubach, almost flawless protection there. Plenty of time to throw. Give him that much time, and Billy Joe Dupree will find a little open spot someplace down there, as he did right there, with Roger being right on the money with it.
That's 6 out of 9 completions for Roger Staubach in the first half, a total of 67 yards.
Just keeps getting better. Every year he looks better to me.
You know, it's hard to believe that Staubach is 35 years old, because he's got a body of a guy 25, but you have to keep in mind, you know, his body is really 4 years younger because he was in the Navy and he didn't take that beating for 4 years.
In addition to that, his lifestyle is not like mine. His body is equivalent of what mine was when I was 13. He hadn't abused himself so bad.
Absolutely. First down for the Cowboys at the 35 of Tampa Bay. And again, a reminder about that great CBS Sports Spectacular show we have upcoming for you. Next Saturday, 3/8 of an inch in diameter and 4 feet long, and progressing up to 3/4 of an inch in diameter. Also 4 feet long.
Ernie Stockner will bite it in half when they get through with it.
Somebody had to stay up an awful long time to think of that event, I'll guarantee you. 1st and 10. Cowboys out of the shotgun from the Tampa Bay 35. Here's Staubach. Protection is good. Little screen out to Saldi at the 30-yard line. Jay Saldi is down to the 26, 25. Boy, the way he went down, it looked like he could have got a knee or something, but apparently he's all right. Saldi's been one of the most impressive, most improved players. Tom Landry called him out of training camp. Cowboys go without a huddle. Second down and a yard for the first down at the 27. 17 seconds left. Sideline throw, and it is caught over there, and going out of bounds is Preston Pearson. First down at the 13-yard line. Boy, that's what a veteran back will do for you.
11 years of experience. Did you see how he got out of bounds there just to make sure that clock wouldn't run with 18 seconds on the clock? Look at this. Roger Staubach. Look at the protection there. Everybody in the world. Good rush there by Leroy Selman, as good as he could. Now watch this. Still in bounds, just getting out. You'll see so many of the younger players that don't have presence of mind to do that.
Officials mark it at the 14-yard line. It'll be first down for the Cowboys at the Tampa Bay 14. And Staubach, having conferred with Tom Landry, heads back into the huddle. And I'm sure Tom probably said, you got one shot, and then we're bringing in the field goal unit.
You got it right on that money there.
Cowboys going to call time now. Let's see. A full timeout being called by the Dallas Cowboys after Staubach did run over to the sidelines just briefly. So Dallas in command throughout this first half, going out to a 17-0 lead. Stewie Selman getting some advice.
I guess this is easily Tampa's worst defensive performance of the year already today.
Well, they gave up 9 points against Minnesota, and they gave up, what, 14 previous week against Philadelphia, and then they gave up 0 the week before against Baltimore in their last preseason game.
And when you can hold Burt Jones and that crowd scoreless, you've done some work.
On the other hand, you can't blame a 79-yard interception return on your defense.
No, you surely can't. The unknown man in the Dallas coaching staff. Is that Jim Myers there?
Jim Myers in the center.
Yeah.
He's the offensive line coach and now carries the title of assistant head coach.
Everybody knows when you pan that sideline, you're going to see Landry, and he's usually with Reeves. But Jim Myers is always in the area. He's the assistant, head coach?
Assistant head coach. That's a pretty impressive title. Ball is at the 14-yard line. First and 10 for the Cowboys with 12 seconds left to play in the first half. Dallas leading 20-7. Pearson and Newhouse are the setbacks. Drew Pearson is wide to the right. Golden Richards off to the left. Here comes the rush. Going for Golden Richards in the corner of the end zone, but he was out of the end zone when he pulled it down.
Mike Washington on the coverage over there and had him covered well, too. That's the only place Roger could do it, is throw it out of bounds or throw it deep. Coverage was there.
So here comes the field goal unit as Staubach and company leave the field. Herrera 2 for 2 thus far in the afternoon. He's hit from 32 yards and also from 19 yards. This will be a 31-yard effort. No good. Missed it off to the left. Well, that is a rarity.
From in there close, he doesn't miss many.
That is a real rarity to see Herrera miss a field goal attempt from that close in. So Tampa Bay will have one shot at it. First and 10 at the 20-yard line for the Buccaneers. See if Huff winds up, goes for broke, or just elects to run out the clock. Is going to run it out. Fumble on the play, but quickly recovered by number 32, Lewis Carter, as the gun sounds, ending the first half of play with the Dallas Cowboys leading the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by a score of 20-7. What do you think, Hawk?
The game speaks for itself. They really have been out of it early. Tampa just hadn't done one thing to generate any kind of scoring drive. They got to get the offense started, and how they're going to do that, I have no earthly idea against the fine Dallas team.
Well, Dallas really hasn't looked all that sharp entirely in the first half either. They looked a little flat at times.
I would agree with you. The Cowboys came out like they were looking ahead to next week, but the Tampa just hadn't been able to do anything offensively.
So that's the way it stands here at halftime. The Dallas Cowboys leading the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 20-7, and we'll be back with you at Texas Stadium shortly. Halftime at Texas Stadium with the Dallas Cowboys leading the expansionist Tampa Bay Buccaneers 20-7. This one going just about according to form right now. Cowboys led by Roger Staubach in that first half, and a 79-yard interception return by Thomas Henderson, which had to be thus far the key play in the football game. And Tampa Bay having scored its first touchdown of the season on the return of a fumble by linebacker Richard Wood. So the Tampa Bay offense still hasn't scored in the 1977 season, but the defense making up for the slack with Wood scoring that touchdown on the fumble return. Staubach hasn't had too much of a problem throwing the football thus far. He has hit 8 out of 12 passes for 105 yards. Gary Huff, after being in the game a short period of time against Minnesota last week, really has done quite well for a man who's been out of action for about a month or so. He has hit 4 out of 9 passes for a total of 44 yards. And his only miscue, of course, was the big one. But Henderson picked off the interception because that came right in the midst of what could have been a very fine drive by Tampa Hawk.
To me, that was a turning point in the ball game. Tampa had moved the ball pretty well prior to that interception. Just seemed to take all the steam out of Tampa. And, you know, developing a winning habit is the hardest thing in the world with an expansion team.
Well, there's a portion of the crowd here which has got a number close to 60,000, just under capacity here at Texas Stadium, and obviously they are enjoying themselves the way things have gone thus far this afternoon for the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys, as you might expect, did not exactly appear full of total inspiration.
No, they really didn't.
It's tough to get up for a game like this.
Yes, it is. But from Tampa's standpoint, they have lost 2 games they could just as easily won earlier in the year, and this has been a nice time to knock off a team like the Dallas Cowboys, because if you think back the last couple of years, Dallas always has one of those games somewhere where the Green Bay Packers or somebody, or last year it was the Atlanta Falcons, jumped up and beat them unexpectedly. It was an excellent time to do it. Not that Tampa can't go. They're not out of the ball game by any means. It's 20-7 halftime score. But let's say they stood a better chance had they not had that interception.
Buccaneers return home next Sunday afternoon against the Washington Redskins as they continue the Murderers Row portion of their schedule. 3 weeks in a row, Minnesota, Dallas, and Washington. The NFL Today on CBS will return after this word from your local station.
They didn't lose any fumbles? They didn't lose any fumbles. No fumbles, just 1 interception. Well,
Frank Lieber along with Alex Hawkins back at Texas Stadium. We're at halftime where the Dallas Cowboys lead the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And here's a look now at our first half statistics in the ball game. And Dallas with the obvious edge there in the total yardage. And of course, one of the big factors in this game, as we have remarked during the course of the first half, was losing Ricky Bell. Didn't help Tampa Bay any at all.
No, and nor is he going to in the second half if he isn't able to play. The thing about Tampa, they haven't been beating themselves this year. They haven't been doing anything for themselves, but they've only, coming in 2.5 games, they've only had 1 fumble, 4 pass interceptions, so the turnovers haven't killed them. On the other hand, Dallas has been winning big games by forcing turnovers. They've had 10 of them this year, 6 interceptions and 4 fumble recoveries. It's just the ineptness of the Tampa offensive team to really generate anything. It's going to take some time. I don't care about it.
Bell suffered a bruised shoulder in the first quarter of play after he was hit by Thomas Henderson, then retired from the game after only 3 carries for a total of 7 yards. Now let's go to CBS Sports Control in New York. Pleasant Sunday afternoon here at Texas Stadium in Dallas. We're back once again at halftime where the Dallas Cowboys lead the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by a score of 20-7. Dallas, the only undefeated team in the National Football Conference, trying to remain so with a victory over the winless Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The preceding announcement was brought to you as a public service by the National Football League. Well, the Bucks and the Cowboys are back in the field prior to the start of the second half. What do you say to an expansion team when you're in the locker room and you're trailing an undefeated club 20-7? What do you think John McKay's telling them?
Well, John McKay is telling them first that in the second quarter they didn't make a first down. And they're going to have to do something in the third quarter. The score's going to get much worse. No, really and truly, there's nothing much you can say because Dallas does have a fine defensive team, a fine football team. You get that 2 touchdowns behind, you're not out of it, but you got to be very, very careful, and you can't give up any more interceptions or turn the ball over.
I would think the way they're going to win a football game is by getting ahead early and maybe putting a little heat on the other team, then getting fired up as a result rather than trying to come from behind and do it.
Yeah, well, in the second half, Gary Huff is just going to have to get it together himself and just decide to stick with his game plan to the best he can because you don't have to shelve it all, but you got to make some adjustments. Offensive line is not doing that poorly, giving him protection on the thing. He's going to have to get some receivers open and hit them.
What about Huff? Look rusty at all to you?
Well, he did. You can't miss as much time as he did, and he's wearing that knee brace. You don't know how much that's affecting his natural throwing motion. But he did look like he's missed some time. There's no question about it. I saw him in preseason, and he looked a lot sharper than this.
Well, he was out for almost a month or so, and he did look very good against Atlanta. He threw 3 touchdown passes, and you kind of get the impression that McKay is counting on him.
I'd like to see Anthony Davis get a little more running room in there because I think he's got all the speed and the quickness that he had as a great college player, but he just really hadn't had any daylight and his stuff on a runner. You're only as good as those men up front. It's what's up front that counts.
A lot of changes in that Buccaneer offensive line, as you might very well expect from an expansion team. They've been through an awful lot of football players, really, since the start of training camp.
Well, 17 men, as we mentioned earlier in the top of the show, as Coach Sells says, 17 men were on injured reserve last year. 9 of them were starters at one time or another. And just getting the cohesion with any expansion team, regardless of the injuries, that's hard. But when you have injuries, when you play them with different personnel from week to week, it's almost impossible to get anything consistent going.
All right, let's see what's happening here as the second half is about to get underway here at Texas Stadium between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Dallas Cowboys. Both clubs have deployed in their kickoff receiving formations, and we're just about set to go. Tampa Bay won the toss at the outset, so the Cowboys with the alternate option in the second half, of course, have elected to take the football, and that means that Alan Levitt will be kicking off for the Buccaneers. Yeah, the Cowboys deploying kind of an I formation on their kickoff returns. They have the short man, Larry Brinson, standing on the 10, and the man they hope to get the ball to, Butch Johnson, the leading kickoff returner in the NFC, standing on the goal line. And it will come down to Johnson at the 5. Butch Johnson, 15, 20, really upended at the 25-yard line. Butch, for the first time in his career, is wearing a cage mask this week. He really got zapped against the Giants and wound up with a mashed nose and a couple of black eyes, and he's now wearing the double bar.
That wasn't a love tap he got just then.
Absolutely. 1st and 10. Cowboys ball at their 25-yard line. They lead it by a score of 20-7 as we start the third period of play. Roger Staubach has Drew Pearson wide to the right side. Golden Richards split to the left. Dallas going with its number 1 unit all the way. Preston Pearson gets the call, gets a good block from Tom Rafferty, number 64. And Rafferty is out to the, Pearson is out to the 33-yard line, and that's good for a first down. 13-yard pickup. Pretty good block here by Rafferty.
Really was. Rafferty's, of course, moved in, beat Burton Lawless out for that starting job. Lawless is playing because of an injury to the left guard. Dallas offensive line moving off the ball, of course, they have for so many years. 10 out of the last 11 years in the playoffs speaks for itself.
First down for the Cowboys on the very first play from scrimmage as they move now from their 38-yard line. Newhouse and Preston Pearson in the eye. Big rush on Staubach. Drops it over the middle to Pearson. Preston Pearson is at the 50. Good move by Pearson. Gets him to the 49-yard line. And then he is nailed from behind. Paul Harris was in on the stop for Tampa Bay along with Dewey Selman. It's another first down for Dallas. 2 plays, 2 first downs. And they're now at the Buccaneers 49.
Preston Pearson's a thing of beauty, isn't he? Just so much poise and so much class. When he doesn't panic whatsoever, just stays in there, does what he does best. Not an explosive type runner, but he'll get the job done for you very adequately.
That's 3 receptions for him for better than 40 yards. Newhouse trying the right side behind Pearson's block. Gets inside the 45 to the 42 of the Buccaneers, and that's good for 7, which will set up 2nd and 3 for Dallas.
Tampa's not getting much force from the defensive, either their linebackers or their cornermen or the safeties, whoever's supposed to turn the play in, because Dallas has had success going outside on them throughout the entire game.
Roger Staubach, one of 4 NFL quarterbacks who have passed for more than 10,000 yards over the past 4 seasons. Name the others.
Don't get me in one of those games right now.
Tarkington, Jim Hart, and Ken Anderson. Drew Pearson in motion. On 2nd down 3, Preston Pearson has the first down and some change as he moves it to the 35-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Dallas Cowboys, who have taken the opening kickoff. In the second half, started this drive at their 25-yard line and moved smartly to the 35.
There you see Paul Harris putting the hit on Preston Pierce. Harris, a rookie out of Alabama. I guess they got him on waivers from Pittsburgh.
Harris is replacing Dave Lewis, the number 2 draft pick out of Southern Cal, who was injured last week against Minnesota. Nice fake to Newhouse, and Staubach going down the sidelines, and this time overthrowing Preston Pearson at the 20-yard line. You know, when Pearson came up with the Colts, he was primarily a kick returner, wasn't he?
That's about all he did, was return kicks and on the specialty teams. He wasn't moved into the offensive backfield taken serious the entire time he was playing with Baltimore. He really didn't even start playing it until they went over to Pittsburgh. But I maintain that his best football has been the last 2 years here with the Dallas Cowboys.
And in college at Illinois, he was a basketball player. In fact, he told me once upon a time, I don't know whether to believe this or not, he said Illinois played UCLA his senior year, and he once blocked a sky hook of Lou Alcindor's.
You don't want to buy that, do you?
I don't know. 2nd and 10. Again, Staubach with a good fake. Bullet over the middle. That's Butch Johnson at the 15-yard line. First down for the Dallas Cowboys as Jarris White, number 45, makes the stop for Tampa Bay. Boy, that's a bullet there.
They just had plenty of time, fakes a draw there to hold those linebackers so they can't get any depth. The receiver just tries to get in behind those linebackers. Roger right on the money before Jarris White can bring him down. The coverage was not all that bad. The pass was just thrown perfectly.
That's Butch Johnson's first pass reception of the afternoon. By the way, Johnson and Golden Richards are used by head coach Tom Landry to bring in plays from the sidelines. 1st and 10 for the Cowboys at the Tampa Bay 15-yard line. Cowboys still haven't given up the ball here at the start of the 3rd period. Newhouse inside the 10 and run out of bounds at the 7-yard line. So pickup of 7 on that play. It'll be 2nd and 3.
Just another example of no pressing or forcing from the outside. Watch Newhouse. He stays outside. Nobody turning the play. Jarris White finally comes up, but then by that time he's already gained substantial yardage, about 8 by that time.
11 minutes, 20 seconds left to play in the 3rd period, and Dallas driving. 2nd down. Short 3 needed for the first down as the officials have it marked at the 7-yard line. They have to get just inside the 5 for their first down. Newhouse and Preston Pearson in back of Roger Staubach. It is Preston Pearson to about the 5, and he'll be close for the first down. Cowboys have done it all so far in their first couple of games. And they've picked up 10 turnovers in their first 2 games. That's an absolutely unbelievable figure.
They're off to a fast start. It's unusual for Dallas to look this good this early in the season.
3rd down, less than a yard. Cowboys from the 5-yard line of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Staubach gives to Newhouse, and Newhouse drives to the 3, maybe the 2-yard line. That's more than enough for the first down. So it'll be 1st and goal to go.
Newhouse is not the least bit timid putting his head in there, is he?
Not at all. You get him healthy, and he runs better closer to the ground probably than any runner in the league.
He's shown that a couple times a day on one of their scoring drives.
Absolutely. Amazing sense of balance. And his thighs are absolutely unbelievable.
How about his feet? They're 5 inches wide.
I know that. He wears a triple E or whatever he does, size 14, I think.
Give me a 14 wide.
Officials mark it at the 2. 1st and goal to go for the Cowboys. Pearson, that's an easy 6 points, but we got a flag. Penalty marker on the play. So let's not put it up yet. Illegal procedure against Dallas, so the touchdown will be nullified, and the Cowboys will lose 5. Bill Collar comes out of the game for Tampa Bay, replaced by Cedric Brown.
Look at Preston, just taking it in stride. That's just one that's called back. Go after it again.
Here's the call by the referee, Bernie Ullman.
False start. Offense number 89.
Billy Joe Dupree, the tight end, costing the Cowboys 5 yards. That moves it back to the 7. So it is now first down, goal to go from the 7-yard line. Again, it is Pearson. Pearson to the 5, drives maybe to the 4. Tampa defense getting tough. Mark Cotney, number 33, was in there along with Cecil Johnson, number 56.
Mark joined the Tampa Bay team last year in that veterans allocation from the Houston Oilers.
He's a good player. In fact, many people thought he perhaps was their most valuable player last year. Did a good job, pass defense.
I've been right impressed with Cedric Brown today.
Yes, been in a lot of tackles. Ball is at the 4-yard line. Second down, goal to go. 9:25 left in the third period, and the Cowboys haven't given it up yet. Again to Pearson, this time to the 3. So it'll be third and goal from the 3-yard line. The Dallas has eaten up the first 6 minutes off the clock in the third quarter after taking the third period kickoff. Cowboy defense should be well rested.
Well, you can't help but get the feeling that Roger Staubach's doing exactly what he wants to do, keeping the ball on the ground, running it, just controlling the whole game situation. That's exactly what he's done these last couple drives. That cools off a team that might otherwise be fired up.
Drew Pearson is wide to the right side, the rest of the tee in tight. On third down, goal to go. Faked by Staubach into the middle, gets rid of it. Intended for Golden Richards, and Richards gets into a scrap with the man who is defending against him. I thought he should have caught it.
Well, there's no question about it. He just blew that one.
I don't think you can blame the defender on that one. Word or two exchanged down there.
After all said and done, there's more said than done. Anytime you see situations like that.
So that means that the Buccaneer defense has held the Cowboys again, and they'll try to settle for a field goal. Herrera is 2 out of 3 in that department. Missed from 31. He's hit from 19 and 32 yards. Waters will put this down at the 10, which will make it a 20-yard effort. He's never missed in a regular season game inside the 30, except for that one shot up at Minnesota, which, of course, sent that game into overtime. Field goal is good from 20 yards out, and the Cowboys' lead mounts to 23-7 here at Texas Stadium.
We're back.
Cowboy cheerleaders hooping it up as Dallas prepares to kick off after taking the opening kickoff in the second half and marching 75 yards and settling for the field goal. Anthony Davis deep along with Higgins. There's the whistle from the referee, Bernie Ullman. And Herrera puts his toe into it, high and short. And Higgins at the 15, 20, 25-yard line. Fights his way across the 30. And it stops standing up at the 32. Randy Hughes, number 42, and Andy Frederick, number 71, making the stop. Here's the book on the Cowboy scoring drive. As you can see, it consumed almost half of the third quarter. So the Buccaneers with the football for the first time in the second half. They send McKay to the left side, Owens to the right. And let's see, is that Ricky Bell back in there? Nope, I believe that's Williams. Ed Williams taking the handoff. And nothing at all. Ed Jones just fell on him.
Tell me that Ed Jones is finally coming into his own.
Oh, yes. He's off to quite a start. Of course, he was the #1 pick in the entire National Football League. I've been, 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
But up until this point, he has never fulfilled that great potential and promise. The Cowboys don't have a quarterback sack, I don't believe, so far this afternoon. They've racked up 9 in their first 2 games. It's like running into a stone wall. Again, too tall Jones stopping Anthony Davis. This time with Thomas Henderson lending an assist.
Well, let's look in on Ed Jones. Number 72. There's Charlie Waters in the picture there. D.D. Lewis. displaying his position. One of the reasons they haven't had any quarterback sacks is Tampa, despite not being able to move the ball too well, has not lost their poise. They haven't thrown everything up into the wind and thrown it up for grabs. They're keeping the ball on the ground, doing what they went into the game thinking they could do against Dallas.
Third down. The Bucs need 10 for the first down with the ball at their 32-yard line. They trail by a score of 23-7 here in the third period. Huff, under pressure, delivers, and delivered it a little faster than he wanted to that time. Intended for Morris Owens at the 45-yard line.
Had the safety blitz on that time. Cliff Harris was coming.
So dejected Gary Huff leaves the field. And the Buccaneers will be punting with Dave Green doing the honors. Green in the first half punted 6 times for an average of 41.6. His long punt was 51 yards. Butch Johnson is deep. Nice high punt. Johnson waits at his 22-yard line. Butch to the 25, trying to break through the first wave and couldn't quite do it as he was pinned at the 27. Curtis Jordan, one of the first Tampa Bay Buccaneer players down there, number 25. So the Cowboys take over 1st and 10 at their 27-yard line here at Texas Stadium. To an opponent's head. How about that, Hawks?
I bet he can't run that fast.
1st and 10, Dallas at its 27-yard line. Second possession for the Cowboys here in the second half. And Preston Pearson taking the pitch from Staubach at a yard at most. Leroy Selman closing the door, number 63.
Well, sir, Tampa's going to get back in the ball game. They got to do it right here. From here on out, they got to dominate.
Defense got to hold them.
Right now, yes, sir. Give them the field position. Give them a little positive thinking.
Bucks with that front three. They've got Charles Hanna, John Hanna's brothers in there at a defensive end, replacing Council Rudolph. 2nd and 10, Staubach floating it out for Billy Joe Dupree. And you talk about throwing it into a crowd, man. He had nothing but orange shirts surrounding him. Well covered that time. Good coverage by the Buccaneers. Number 34, Cedric Brown, and also in there Richard Wood, number 54. This is what Staubach has done so far this afternoon.
One thing about it, Staubach has not given up an interception this year, and that's the very reason that although the coverage was there, he threw it high and outside away from those defenders.
Tom Landry going over the next play with his wide receivers. We had a marker down in that last play, so let's see what the walk-off will be here.
Could very well be holding because I detected some that time.
Hey, Landry's win over the Giants last week was the 150th of his coaching career.
Holding, number 73, offense.
That's Ralph Neely of the Cowboys, who has been known to hold upon occasion, particularly when he go up against a defensive end the likes of Leroy Selman.
When all else fails, hold. That's all.
That moves the ball back to the 17-yard line. The Cowboys now have a 2nd down, and they need 20 for the first down at their own 17. Staubach fakes to Newhouse, gets it out to Preston Pearson at the 20, 25. Just picking his way upfield. On a leisurely Sunday afternoon, Preston Pearson is out to the 30-yard line. He got back the 10 they lost in the penalty, plus 2 or 3 more. Mark it at the 30. That will set up 2nd down, or make it 3rd down and 7.
That Preston is a professional, isn't he? He handles himself like a professional, and he plays like a professional. Just all the poise in the world.
He's a glider, I guess you'd call him, type of runner. Just seems to kind of weave in and out.
A lot of football player that you see right there, Leroy Selman.
We'll watch him
better and better and better
in this matchup with Ralph Neely and see what happens. Here's Staubach. Well, Neely did a job on him that time, put him right on the seat of his pants. That's Drew Pearson at the 50. And the Cowboys all-pro wide receiver to the 48-yard line of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Dallas has another first down, making the 46.
Look at Leroy. Neely handed it to him that time. There had never been a horse that couldn't be rode, and there had never been a rider that couldn't be thrown. That time, Ralph Neely did the job on him. Drew Pearson, just as reliable, like banking money. Take a look at it again here. Leroy, you don't win them all. Sometimes you lose.
1st and 10 for Dallas at the 46-yard line of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Cowboys are moving, and they're running that clock down one more time. 4 minutes, 50 seconds left in the third quarter. Preston Pearson behind Lawless, blocks, spins through a hole and picks up 11 yards on another first down. Boy, that's a fine bit of running.
Take that, Tony Dorsett. Doesn't look as good as you, but I got the job done. That's how he stays in there. You can just count on him. Like death and taxes.
It looked like he was stopped at the line of scrimmage and went into a full spin and came out of it and picked up 11 yards and a first down for the Cowboys at the Tampa Bay 35-yard line. Preston Pearson has carried 10 times for 53 yards and has caught 5 passes for 65 yards. Loose football. And he's got it. Tampa Bay recovers the fumble at the 36-yard line.
I'd like to see Tampa get back in here now. We need a sustained drive somewhere.
So the Buccaneers come up with a fumble recovery. Here it is again.
That's just, you don't know who to fault, really, on that, the exchange between the quarterback and center, and you never know. Only those two people know.
Paul Harris, number 52, came up with the loose fumble, and the Buccaneers take over at their 37-yard line. And if they want to get back in this game, it's time now to show some offense. Their defense hasn't done that badly at all. Davis out across the 40 and fighting hard until he's finally run out of bounds at the 43-yard lines. Pickup of 7, 2nd and 3.
As we watch this from the end zone, Anthony Davis showing what he can do when he gets a little daylight here. Takes a quick pitch out with the blocking out in front of him there. Charlie Waters being knocked out of the way, and look at him get those legs up. Running into DeMaurice Owens' back. Said, if you can't help me, get out of my way. Don't hurt me.
2nd down 3 for the Bucs. Let's see if this has ignited them at all. Ball is at their 43-yard line. They trail 23-7. There's the book on Davis so far this afternoon. And Davis again to the 45. Looks like he's about a yard short of the real estate needed for the first down.
We still haven't received a report on Ricky Bell, how serious the injury was. Let's see another Tampa player down the field right now.
That looks to be Daryl Carlton, the offensive tackle, who was shaken up on that last play. That is being tended to as the Buccaneers call timeout.
We're back, Coach.
Here's Daryl Carlton, who was shaken up on the last play, walked off the field under his own power.
And that will hurt the Tampa team. You know, they made a trade with Miami for the rights to him out of Tampa University back home again, and he's a fine football player.
3rd down 1. Big play for the Bucs at their 45 as they try to keep this drive going. Owens, the man in motion. Gary Huff going to throw on 3rd and 1, and that's almost picked off by Aaron Kyle, and Kyle could smell that goal line as the pass was intended for McCabe. Aaron Kyle, number 25, second-year man for the Cowboys, and a number 1 draft choice last year as a rookie.
You have to question that call in a short yardage situation because they know they're going to play those receivers tight anyhow, and throwing that ball the width of the field, and that's a very dangerous pass under any circumstances.
55,316 in attendance here at Texas Stadium this afternoon. That would be almost 10,000 short of capacity. Butch Johnson has had an excellent afternoon running back punts. Johnson at the 20 gets by the first man but is pinned at the 25-yard line. Winfrey, number 36. Well, we got at least one upset, looks like, working in the National Football League. The Jets lead New England 30-27.
And there's only 23 seconds remaining in that game, so there's not much time to pull that one out.
Cowboys 1st and 10 at their 25-yard line. They lead 23-7 over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Preston Pearson out to the 27 for a pickup of 2. 2nd and 8. Here's our first final of the afternoon. The Pittsburgh Steelers came from behind, rallied, got 3 touchdown passes from Terry Bradshaw, beat Cleveland.
Now, he also ran one in himself, too.
Pretty good afternoon. 2nd and 9. Cowboys at their 26, 2 minutes, 40 seconds left to play in the 3rd period.
And that New England score, the Jets over New England 30-27, is a final now. So
Dallas with the number 2 offense in the National Football League and the number 1 passing offense. That's one reason why. Roger Staubach to Golden Richards, out of bounds at the 35, close for a first down.
Golden Richards, they have to respect his speed. They lay off of him, and Jarris White just does not commit himself quick enough. As you see, there's just too much room there. Bumps him out of bounds there.
Richards signed a contract this week. There were some rumors that he might be playing out his option, but he did sign this week. There's John McKay of the Buccaneers.
A colorful man. I just enjoy. I could sit and listen to him talk for hours.
He has not lost his sense of humor. You got to say that, right? Third down and a yard for the Cowboys. Dallas from its 34. Preston Pearson trying to pick up the first down. And looks like he's got it at the 36-yard line.
Dallas is making it look so academic, like this is a scrimmage between the first team and the second, where they just go out and just run the ball at will on the thing.
Well, they've certainly controlled the ball here in the third period.
You've got to feel that they're one of the strongest.